Gender as a term prior to the 1950s was, number one, did not refer to people, and number two, was not in the medical literature. Sexologists were PhDs and MDs in the 50s who were taking, the term was transsexuals at that time, people who believed they were transsexual, mostly men who wanted to be women. And these sexologists were the ones who basically invented so-called sex reassignment surgery. And amongst themselves in the 50s said, well, what are we treating? How are we going to justify this? Because they knew full well, even then, sex is in the DNA. And mutilating the body does not change a person's sex. How are we going to justify this? And so they basically looked at the word gender, which meant male and female, referring to grammar. And you can go online. I did. I went way back. I went back to dictionaries in the 1700s, and you can actually see the definition of gender all the way up. So in the 1950s, one of the sexologists at the time was John Money, Dr. John Money, and they said, well, we're going to take gender and say that for people, it means the social expression of an internal sex identity. That's what we're treating. They pulled it out of the air to justify lining their pockets to do mutilating surgeries. And this is the very same, underneath everything that the activists today are saying, it's the same definition that they're using. It has no basis in reality.
So what you're saying is even radical surgery cannot change a man into a woman. Is that correct?
Right. Radical surgery, no surgery will change the DNA, which is imprinted in every single cell of the body. Again, this is both, it's a combination of reason and science. They meld, they go together. Human sexuality is binary. Okay, we know this because in nature, reproduction is the rule. And human beings, we engage in sexual reproduction. You need a man and a woman to do that. So chromosomes, women are XX. Those are the sex chromosomes. Women have two X's. Men have an X and a Y. Those are genetic markers. They're genetic markers for female and male, respectively. Okay, binary. That's the rule, and it's self-evident. Exceptions to the rule, biological exceptions to the rule, do not invalidate the rule. And by that, I am referring to intersex conditions. We live in an imperfect world. We live in a world with disease and disorder. There are a variety of very rare biological genetic disorders that result in disorders of sex development. These individuals have a true physiological, genetic, biological problem. So it may be appropriate within those cases, they may need surgery, they may need hormones, but that's a case-by-case basis. And they are the exception, not the rule. Why do we refer to them colloquially as intersex? Because they are between the norms. And many people with intersex conditions, they can lead very happy, healthy lives, but their treatment is very personalized. Transgender, someone who identifies as transgender, however, that's not a problem in their body. Gender identity, all identities, they're in our thoughts. Thoughts and feelings, those are not hardwired, they develop, and they may be factually wrong or factually correct. Individuals with disorders of sex development are being used as pawns in the fight for basically a civil right to a mental illness. There's no such thing as a civil right to a mental illness. But that is in fact what we are dealing with the transgender rights movement.